Opinion Trump, Putin the nuclear flashpoints Iran's Defiance and Ukraine's escalation 75 minutes. That's how long US President Donald Trump spoke with Russian President Vladimir Putin on June 4. On the table, two of the most volatile geopolitical flashpoints today: Iran's nuclear program and Ukraine's drone strikes on Russian airfields. But beyond the headlines, this conversation raises far more questions than it answers about US foreign policy, nuclear risk, and Trump's diplomatic calculus. Nanan Trump says he and Putin agreed that Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Putin even hinted he might step in to help mediate. But can Russia, Iran's closest nuclear collaborator, really be trusted to broker a deal? Former United States Ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley, criticized Trump's outreach to Putin, stating, "Russia has been receiving drones and ballistic missiles from Iran to use in its aggression against Ukraine. Iran and Russia are partners. It is ludicrous to think we would allow Putin to be chief negotiator between the US and Iran." Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khomeini, has already slammed the US proposal to halt uranium enrichment, calling it arrogant and rejecting any compromise. But this isn't just posturing. It reflects deep-rooted distrust. Iran still remembers the US withdrawal from the 2015 Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, the JCPOA, during Trump's first term. That deal, brokered under Obama, had curbed Iran's enrichment in exchange for sanctions relief. But Trump tore it up in 2018, reinstating sanctions and vowing a tougher deal. Since then, Iran has seen every American overture as temporary at best, deceptive at worst. Khomeini's rejection is not just of Trump's current proposal, but of what Iran sees as a pattern of broken promises and pressure tactics dressed up as diplomacy. This comes after the 5 rounds of US-Iran nuclear talks, mediated by Oman, have gone nowhere. Trump blames Iran for slow-walking negotiations. But critics say his pressure cooker diplomacy, deadlines, demands, threats may only deepen Iran's resistance. Nanan, the call also came in the aftermath of Ukraine's dramatic June 1 drone strikes, codenamed Operation Spiderweb, which destroyed multiple nuclear-capable Russian bombers across 4 air bases. Estimated cost to Moscow $7 billion. Strategic damage even greater. These weren't just any aircraft. They were part of Russia's nuclear triad. In his call with Putin, Trump said he was briefed on the attack and acknowledged Putin's strong warning that Russia would retaliate. But what he didn't say may matter more. There was no explicit US condemnation of Russia's retaliation threats. Foreign policy experts say Trump's failure to push back against Putin's warnings sends the wrong signal. There's also growing alarm about the nuclear implications. Ukraine's strikes targeted key components of Russia's nuclear triad, triggering fears of escalation. Keith Kellogg, Trump's special envoy for Ukraine and Russia, warned that miscalculation could have catastrophic consequences. Nanan, Trump's reliance on Putin as both a problem solver in Ukraine and a nuclear mediator on Iran raises eyebrows. Yes, he calls their conversation good. But just weeks ago, he labeled Putin absolutely crazy. This split-screen strategy, flattery one day, condemnation the next, sends mixed signals to allies and adversaries alike. And then there's the optics, trusting a Kremlin strongman who arms Iran and threatens Ukraine to be a force for global stability. Critics and even some allies aren't convinced. Nanan, Trump's foreign policy is increasingly defined by high-stakes unknowns and off-script diplomacy. But with nuclear threats looming on 2 fronts, Ukraine and Iran, this moment demands clarity, not contradictions. A call like this could have offered a reset. Instead, it revealed a policy playing out on the fly, reactive, not strategic. And for Ukraine, Iran, and even Israel, the message from Washington remains unclear. What exactly is the US willing to deter, and what is it willing to allow? Swipe left for next video. A good conversation, says Trump. But in geopolitics, words without direction can be dangerous. With 2 nuclear hotspots on the boil, diplomacy must do more than delay disaster, it must prevent it. And that will take more than phone calls. Views expressed in the above piece are personal and solely those of the author. They do not necessarily reflect NEWS18's views. Latest blogs.